when I help my clients, it's not about just having the right words. I mean, AI can pull up a bunch of great words for you, but it's really, to me, it's about like sharing what's in your soul. And I don't mean like your personal story necessarily. I just mean like how you see the world, whatever your brilliance is, whatever your stamp is that's unique to you. But when you're selling from stage or where you're like representing your own company, that brings up a whole nother slew of little mindset things about like, oh my gosh, is anyone gonna want my stuff? Is this, I've never sold from stage. I don't know how that feels like. And if you feel awkward or unsure or confused or stuck on it, the audience will feel that. Probably the biggest mistake is not doing it at all. Not just like doing this amazing talk and then like this sort of throwaway, well, if you want to get in touch with me, find me on, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. And I'm like, what? I really love collaborating. And I thought there's some power when we surround ourselves with other people who are doing the same thing we are. And so I started this group, and it's now called the International Speaker Network. We shifted the name after we went virtual.
Welcome back to the Hustle and Grind podcast, the show where we dig into why real entrepreneurs trade comfort for conviction. This isn't about vanity metrics or overnight success. It's about the stories behind building a reputation that actually matters. I'm your host, Andrew, keynote architect, platform builder, and fellow founder in the trenches. Today, I'm sitting down with Leisa Reid, the speaking strategy mentor and founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now. Leisa is the CEO of the International Speaker Network and has delivered over 600 talks and authored 9 books. Leisa doesn't believe speaking is just about giving a talk. She teaches you how to create a consistent strategy to get booked, stay booked, and attract clients for the entire lifetime of your business. If you're ready to share your message, grow your business, and make the impact you were born to create without the pressure of being perfect or salesy, then you need to hear her proven system. So Leisa, thanks for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. And you're in a space that a lot of people want your services, and that is getting on stages, because for years I've known getting on a stage is the greatest way to get your name out there, to build your authority, and to be able to help people understand who you are. People buy from people they know, like, and trust, and the greatest way to do that is on stages. So thank you so much for being on with me today. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to a great conversation.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yes, I love speaking about speaking. So it's a cool day today.
Absolutely. So we hear a lot of things about people wanting to go out and be speakers, and I see a ton of ads for, hey, we'll get you speaking gigs, we'll do this. What is one thing that you wish other people would know about the industry? Like, what is that one thing that you keep seeing, like with AI? Everyone has something AI in them right now. I think I rode on an elevator yesterday with AI power, and it's like, why would you do that? We have opinions. Specifically, having been in the speaking industry for years, what is something that you would like people to understand, like either perception, whatever it is?
I think there's something to be said about having the right words, but when I help my clients, it's not about just having the right words. I mean, AI can pull up a bunch of great words for you, but it's really, to me, it's about like sharing what's in your soul. And I don't mean like your personal story necessarily. I just mean like how you see the world, whatever your brilliance is, whatever your stamp is that's unique to you, and how you've maybe taken your coaching certifications and the clients you've worked with and you've got your special sauce. Like, that's what people want from you. They don't want perfect words that are spit out by AI. Now, you can still use AI to freshen up some things, but when it comes to actually birthing your idea, I think it's really important to allow it to come from your humanness. And so sometimes, like, I'll help someone, I call it get your talk ready to rock. So we create like their signature talk, and they'll say, oh, I already put it into AI. I've got a bunch of, I'm like, oh, geez, here we go. Because I know we're just going to have to sit. We're probably not going to use any of that, because it's not about memorizing some words. It's about like really sharing authentically your brilliance. And that's what people are paying you for. They're not paying for a spit out, of 5 pages of words. They're paying for your brilliance, so you actually like have experience on the street and you've helped people.
Yeah, I'm sort of laughing at that because I've had clients do that with me, where it's like, hey, AI sounds like me. And it's like, no, it doesn't. There's something different here. I think there's 2 points that you hit. And the first one is that, yes, AI is a powerful tool. I use it. It's good at its lane. Like if something's not quite coming out, I'll use it to sometimes come up with a few different versions, and I'll pick the one that I like the most. But it's not good at sounding like you. And the second thing I think that you brought up too was more about you can't. It needs to be you. People need to connect with you. Like there's a bunch of, as coaches, there's other people, there's other speaker folks out there. There's other people that build authority platforms. There's other people that do what we do. They connect with Leisa. They love your vibe. They love your glasses. Awesome glasses, by the way.
They love my red lipstick. That's why they hire me.
Exactly. But they like your vibe and they like your energy. And it's not about the features that you sell. It's about you as a person. And I think you hit that right on the head with, this is what I want to portray. I want people to get to know me better and the authentic me versus what they put out to versus what people think. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Do you find that?
I think to your question, mm-hmm. Some of the things I see out there, people say like, I want to speak. I want to be on a podcast. I want to, get my word out there, get my message out there, get visible. And I'm like, okay, well, do you have a talk? Still working on it. Like, well, then you're not going to be getting booked as a speaker. I literally was just I gave a talk to a group of professionals just before this call. And she's like, well, aren't they going to want me to speak about, aren't they going to come up with the topic? I'm like, no, you got to come in with something. They're not going to pay you if you're like, I have nothing to offer. Like, you got to decide what you're going to offer. And then the other thing is sometimes and I don't know if you were a Parks and Rec fan, but there's these two characters in Parks and Rec. They're children of Henry Winkler. They're adult children. And they're just like, give me, like, give me everything. And they don't want to like actually do any work. That doesn't work either. Like, you have to do something, like be in the room with people, be in the proximity of people, like pay to learn something that you don't know. People aren't just going to hand it over without any kind of exchange. It just doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I've heard so many people say, you ask them if they have a talk. Well, I have one. And they really don't. I think a lot of people have difficulty with that. And I think that's something kind of specifically that you serve is the ability to be able to take that information and sometimes just give the structure and coaching that you need to get it done. It takes, I think, a lot more. If you found that it takes a lot more than people think it does. Like they think I'm going to go and write this and I know I can talk a lot.
Definitely. Definitely. And it's so different than talking, or even like if you're a teacher or you've been a trainer or, you're a lawyer, for example. Yes, you are speaking maybe publicly, but when you're selling from stage or where you're like representing your own company, that brings up a whole nother slew of little mindset things about like, oh my gosh, is anyone going to want my stuff? Is this, I've never sold from stage. I don't know how that feels like. And if you feel awkward or unsure or confused or stuck on it, the audience will feel that. Even if your words are perfect, even if your slides are perfect, they will feel that from you. So part of it is like doing it before you're amazing at it. You just have to like at one point go, I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to come in prepared and I'm going to learn along the way and I'm going to get better and kind of be okay with that. I think a lot of times as adults, we're like, well, I should be able to do this perfectly. Why? Why would you be able to do it perfectly? You've never done it before, or maybe you've done it once or twice. That's not enough. This may be controversial, but I say like in your first 100 talks, you're going to learn a lot. So don't beat yourself up if it didn't go so well the first couple times. Like that first 100, oh my gosh, so many things are going to go wrong. Things are going to go outside of your control. And how do you learn? By going through it 100 times. And people don't want to do like that hard work, but we're on hustle and grind. So
yeah, exactly. Right. But I think that's something that people think of as either I can do this because I'm a good talker. That doesn't mean you're a good speaker. There's a very different skill set involved. And the second thing is you are going to suck. I mean, my first podcast episode was done for, I think it was the Association of the South Florida Association of Cleaners. And it was just this random podcast who happened to ask me on as a guest. And I was awful. I'm glad it's live, so it doesn't live out on the internet right now. It was
like never to be heard again.
Exactly.
Everyone's like looking it up. Don't even bother. Can't find
It's done. It was 10 years ago. It's not even around anymore. So it's all, we buried the evidence.
Well, that's I used to have a real big fear about being on video, and I was like, I'm going to conquer this. I'm just going to get over it. And I wrote this script. I literally wrote a script. I typed it out, and then I propped it up so that I could read from it on my very first YouTube video. Oh, it was awful, Andrew. Just horrible. But you know what? Nobody died. And and nobody cared. I had this whole thing built up in my mind of how big this thing was, and it's like a tree falling in the forest. Nobody heard it. The other thing that's ironic about that is I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in speech communication. I taught interpersonal communication for 2 years when I was 20, ripe old age of 22 years old. And I still had those fears, and I still sucked. You know what I mean? So it's
I know experienced speakers with 40 some odd years of speaking experience who learn from the best, who also have that little kind of thing that happens when it first starts speaking. This is normal. I think people really need to understand. And as entrepreneurs, we're used to doing something and failing because that's how we learn. It's just do it. You're going to be bad at the first few. Accept that as a reality and just do it because you have a story that needs to be shared with the world.
I'm going to say too, because we've been a little doom and gloomy.
Sure.
Here's the rainbows and unicorns part of the story.
Nice.
My very first talk, even though I had never done it before and I've gotten a lot better since then, I still, in a room full of 10 people, got 3 clients, and 2 of those clients ended up spending tens of thousands of dollars. So don't overthink it either. Just be and if you got the right message or the right answer with the right offer, you can still get clients, even if everything goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's just doing it. I think that's the biggest thing. Understanding this is the number one fear of everyone, and getting used to it and putting in the reps and getting through. So now I know you specialize more in this kind of the sales aspect of things, if I'm correct. And I wanted to hear what are things that you see people do wrong on stage when they're pitching? What are some of the things you see people do wrong, and how can they correct it?
Probably the biggest mistake is not doing it at all. Not just doing this amazing talk and then this sort of throwaway, well, if you want to get in touch with me, find me on, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. And I'm like, what? No, stop. Or they might go through their offer so quickly. If you blinked, you missed it. And to me, that's showing a discomfort. They're just not good at that part. They haven't practiced that part. Maybe they practiced the whole thing. And then it's funny because our offer is usually at the end and people start practicing. Hopefully you're practicing. Although that's whole nother ball of wax. I'm not practicing, but, and then they whip through it so quick, maybe they have a QR code or a link, and you couldn't even grab your phone fast enough, and they're on to the next slide. You're you didn't give them enough time to process the offer. It's just, and I always say, you're going to slow down. It's intentionally slowing at that point, repeating here's how, go to that QR code, grab your phone, break it down so easily that people can grab it. So there's other ones too, but those are some really common ones.
Well, and I think the common theme amongst those though is people they either aren't clear on their offer, they're not confident in what they're selling.
Yeah.
But I would say it's also part of, I don't want to feel like I'm pitch slapping someone, right? I don't want to feel like
it's all this awkward ick, feeling vulnerable is so many different things. It's unique to each person. I have found where, different things make different people nervous, or make a confident person hide, make a authentic person sound inauthentic. They're trying to do it. Well, my coach told me to sell this way, and I've got to have this and this and this. And I'm oh, geez, I'm a huge fan of let's figure out a way that works for you at this moment in time. You might grow into something else. Some people say, oh, I heard you only should do one offer. I'm I don't know. It depends. I've seen people do tons of offers and make a ton of money, but they probably didn't start off that way. So how do you grow into that?
Yeah. And so for people that there's some people that are very comfortable in the hard sell, the very direct, very straightforward, this is what you want you to do now. For people that's not their vibe, that's not their thing. What is 1 or 2 pieces of wisdom you can give them to overcome that?
Oh, yeah. Most of the people I work with are that heart-centered, very, maybe healing, life coaching, where they don't have sales background, or even honestly, doctors and lawyers don't learn how to sell in medical school or law school. Like, it doesn't mean they don't know how to sell their services, but that's not something that they've taken tons of courses on. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important to just find a way to where you feel comfortable with it. I always say, I want you to be so in love with your offer, you want to marry it. And that you are like, this is a gift. This thing that I'm offering you, this, whatever it is so amazing. And truly, like, you want to really feel it. Like, this is something I've created that's going to be helpful for you with X, Y, and Z. And here it is. And letting go of the attachment of how people respond to that. Like, some people are going to want it. Some people aren't going to want it. I don't need to know why they don't want it. I don't even need to know why they want it. Like, this is the offer. It's like gum. If you would like some gum, here is a piece of gum. And whoever's likes gum is going to accept your piece of gum. Sometimes overthink things too much.
I love that analogy. Because it is true. It's like, sometimes people are going to want what you want. Sometimes they aren't. Doesn't mean you have a bad offer. It also might just mean they don't vibe with exactly what you're doing. Cool. They might. Something different.
If you go with the gum analogy, like, they might have their own flavor of gum that they prefer. They might not chew gum because it's not good for them, or they're not in the mood for gum. It's not about you. Yeah. Usually.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's more about just making sure there's a right fit. And going back to what we talked about earlier, that's also, I want to learn from Leisa. I don't want to learn from just a generic coach, and people will vibe with you. And so that's kind of a thing that I think is important for folks to understand, is that it's more about the connection than it is about the transaction. And I think that's kind of the other part of it too, is worrying more about focusing more on the actual interaction or the relationship between them versus just the transaction and buy my stuff.
True. Yeah. Especially if you work intimately with your clients, like if you're coaching or like helping with marketing. I mean, you're getting into their business like very intently. So it's going to be like, we're going to be opening up the kimono here. So that trust is important. And that's not true for every single person who's selling every single product on stage, but some people, it's not going to be an intimate transaction or relationship. But for a lot of people, like in my world, it is, they're going to have to trust you and they want to get your business. I had a client who sells non-emergency vehicle transportation insurance. That's pretty specific.
It's a niche.
And I was, I remember when I met him, I was like, wait, what is that? I don't even get. So I learned, but he needs to create trust with the people who've maybe been doing business with someone else for decades. He deals with a lot of people who've been in the industry for decades, 50 something years, and there's a certain style of person. So he's got to enmesh himself into that community of prospective clients and build that trust right away and not be too boring, because the topic is kind of boring and what's in it for them, all the things.
Yeah.
One of the first if you have a topic that's kind of obscure, you still need to do those things.
One of the first webinars I ever did where somebody was 10 years ago and it was on life insurance. So I get you. I get it.
Yeah, it's how do we make that interesting? I mean, I've had clients who've had, sold, oil and gas and then, and then I've got people who are like energy healers. So all different kinds of topics.
It's all different. Exactly. So now you also have a network for people that want to get up into speaking. And because I think that's one thing that's difficult is I get a lot of pitches from, hey, come speak at my event. And the event is not even close to what I need. Or it's hey, I'm going to charge you for my course that helps you do this, which isn't going to help me at all. So what I wanted to do is kind of talk a little bit about your network, because I think we need more of this in our world. We need more networks that can be able to allow us to be able to go out and network for speakers. So talk a little bit about that.
So when I started speaking, it was back in 2013. Now we're in 2025. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I'll say my first year, I booked 83 speaking engagements, all in my local area. I live in Southern California, so there's a lot of places to choose from. Mm-hmm. My goal for speaking was to get clients for this company I was representing. So I'm just kind of laying the scene here, setting the scene. And they said, go give this talk to as many people as will listen, to these types of audiences, and invite them in to take our workshop. I was selling this workshop for about $300. So I booked 83 speaking engagements. And about halfway through that, I thought there has got to be an easier way, because I'm hustling and grinding. Like I'm doing it. I'm got little calluses on my fingers, and I have no shame in calling and looking under every rock and nook and cranny. But I really love collaborating, and I thought there's some power when we surround ourselves with other people who are doing the same thing we are. And so I started this group, and it's now called the International Speaker Network. We shifted the name after we went virtual, and it's a group of speakers. They're not full-time speakers. They're business owners, entrepreneurs who use public speaking as a way to generate clients, leads. And when you hang out with a group of people who are kind of on that same train as you are, magic happens. I mean, all of a sudden you're booked all the time. Like your calendar's full. You're not sitting there alone going, gosh, I wish someone would have me on their podcast. I wish I could speak at this virtual event, live event, in-person event, whatever. Like you're always dipping your pen in the ink, right? Every month we just come back to that well. And then guess what? Other people were out there speaking, and they can refer things to you. So it works out really well, and it's fun. Might as well have fun while you're doing sales and marketing.
Absolutely. And so for those that want to want to learn a little bit more, there is going to be a link inside of the show notes, so you can go take a look at it to get that. But just so that people know, what is the website for it?
It is ispeakernetwork.com. Excuse me. So that's I, like the letter I, speakernetwork.com.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. And I just think it's really important that we get more information out there from actual speaker connection, speaker places that we can go to find it. Cause I mean, that's something that I've seen so many people struggle with, is like, unless you know somebody, how do I get into the speaker networks, and how do I get booked for these events, and when do they come up? Some events are once a year, so it's, not many come up. So I wanted to make sure that we highlighted that. So I do want to ask, you said that you had a background, and you've got a background in communications. How did you get involved in sales and helping people with sales presentations? How did you get involved in that?
Well, so it's kind of a funny story, because when I graduated with my master's, I remember I went on this, I went to an executive recruiter, and he's like, you should be in sales. And I already had done sales. I didn't consider myself a salesperson at that time, but I said, oh no, I don't want to be in sales. You have got the wrong girl. Well, he was better at sales than I was. He talked me into this job. Anyway, so long story short, I eventually found a career in education sales. I was in admissions at college and university admissions. And so I was at a job one time, I had to make 100 calls a day. 100 calls a day. Oh. It was horrible. But I believed in the work, and I really enjoyed the students that I would work with. And I absolutely believe in education. So it just kind of was always there, but it wasn't until I started selling through speaking that I was like, oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Because speaking from stage is like the drug-free drug. Like it feels so fun. I know there's people who are like, I would rather get a root canal. But for those of you who would not rather get a root canal, and you know how exciting it is being on stage. I mean, it's super fun, super fulfilling. You meet amazing people. I'm always building my network. I mean, there's no shortage of contacts and collaborative partners and clients and leads. It's just the cat's meow. So when I learned how to really create those results, I was like, oh, okay, this is where it's all kind of culminated together. And now I am able to really understand that person who's like, no, I don't want to sell, because I was that person too. Mm-hmm. And it's because we don't want to feel like we're pressuring people. I don't want to feel that icky ickness. And I don't think you have to do that. I think you can kind of make it your own way. And yeah.
I don't think it doesn't always have to be sell. It doesn't always have to be really aggressive. It can be something like you're confident in what you have. You do your stack properly. You do a call to action. You make sure that people know, but you don't have to like bash them over the head with it. Right?
Absolutely. And it's kind of one of those things like this, like you want it. Like, of course you're doing what you're doing for results and to grow business, but you also have to, at the same time, be focused on the goal and completely let go of the results. It's this really beautiful balance.
I think that's entrepreneurship in general, is understanding that you're not going to control the situation, and just understanding, working with what you can, letting go what you can't, and moving on from there. That not every client's going to be right. Not every opportunity is going to be right for you. Sometimes when you lose the client, there's a reason. I like to call it, say that people self-select sometimes. You're not going to work well. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Leisa, thank you so much for being on the show today. Really appreciate it. I know speaking on stages and that is a huge topic right now. There's a lot of information out there, some of it good, some of it bad. Thank you for bringing the good to us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate you.
Anytime.
Thanks for tuning into the Hustle and Grind podcast, where we unpack what it really takes to build something that matters. If today's conversation hit home, do me a favor. Share it with someone who's in the trenches too. And if you're building your own brand, platform, or message and want help turning that story into serious authority, head over to theauthorityforge.com to see how we can help. Until next time, keep showing up, keep shipping, and keep chasing the work that sets you on fire. I'm Andrew, and this was the Hustle and Grind podcast.